The Surge Surf Factory. Keep your eye out for Wiz while you're here. Let's see. Wuz isn't easy on the tongue, but I think he says he's happy to see a friendly face. Not too many of those around these days. Says it's good to see you again. He's Wiz. You might remember him from the old days when he let you try his octopod? Wiz remembers you were such a cheery kid, and he's glad to see that light hasn't faded from you, despite the years. But Wiz understands it was a long time ago, and memories get murkier the deeper you go, but says it helps to have friends with you to plumb those depths. It was a tragedy, but also sad that you chose to leave. It's a miracle you made it on the outside on your own. That land is harsh, they say. Wiz says our memory keeps things for us, preserves them until we are ready to face them again. He knows you've returned to face Lupa Lupin, and that confrontation is as inevitable as the tides. He's not surprised that the loss of your family could plunge you into the depths forever, but you've always been able to rise like a bubble to the surface, no matter what. He knows that though the tides of history may push you in one direction, you can always lay your own course. Ultimately, it's your choice. You were the one to be wronged and have lived with the consequences. He believes in consequence as it's a direct result of action.
Run, Dark, run!
It's not a race.
You only say that because you're losing.
That doesn't mean I'm wrong.
No, there are lots of other reasons you're wrong.
Asks if you ever think about freedom and whether any of us really has it. Maybe that's true for you, but he's not so sure about his own fate. Amazed the world is going to continue on, but happy to hear it. Still so many things to invent. Impressed that you fought so hard to keep the world spinning. Thinks you were smart to join with the Myriad. They have a rainbow of ways to approach any problem. Thinks that kind of diversity brings strength. But that's not nearly as important as this. Wiz says that you should let the past dwell in the depths, but there's something else down there too, gnawing at the Tree of Life. He's named it the Merc Puff. This is why he's tinker-tonkering with the octopod. But the lid got stuck, so he needs a big enough tug twister to open it up and let you a-go-in. He can't leave the surge station, so you must help him find a tug twister. There's a... He found it stranded on a shore nearby and got Gizmo to help tow it here so they could get to work on it. Toxanol probably made it to go under surf and see the damage they've caused for themselves. Whatever you do it right, or don't do it at all. Fang Shelter 11E. Just the place to ride out a storm. An old home. Could be something to it. Time to ride. You found a bric-brac that's not absolutely flat. Don't want to point a finger, but the Mecha Stadium is near here. Not opening for you. Need the right key? Just a few moves left. Make them count. You have a chance to change the future for good or bad. You need to loosen the bolts without unsettling it. Just a few moves left. Make them count. That's it. The tug twister's loose. Let's hope it turned the grabbing hand into a helping hand, too. You need to line up the switches so they match. Just a few moves left. Make them count. Good. That's enough electric current to initiate the actuators and activate the framework. Blackness covers the world like a blanket. He believed the tug twister would do the trick, but now realizes brute force won't do the trick. You need something slick. Well, he means slick as in greasy, so you can lube the hinges of the lid. He can't argue against the fact your fur's shiny. He says the lid should open if you sprinkle grease it. Problem is, he's all out. He knows his old friend Choo-Choo always keeps his grease sprinklers well filled. He should have an extra that you can borrow. He stresses that you should come back as soon as you've retrieved the grease sprinkler. The Merc Puff is crunching bark by the minute. Wants you to think of it as a black tar spritzer. The dead zone is full of that slimy black goo. It's good for fuel, but it's also slippy stuff. You've reached the end of the line. Bet you can find Choo-Choo here. Let's see. Choo-Choo knew you would make it to him one day. All you had to do was follow the steel path. The rails might be getting rusty, but eventually they all converge on him. Claims rails are like rules. If you follow them the way you're supposed to, everything good in life can roll your way. Says you followed the rails to where you need to be, but tracks have switches in them too. The question is then, will you keep on the same track or look for a way to hit that switch? You seem like you're on the right track already. He just hopes you don't get sidetracked onto a darker path. Whichever way you go, he wants you to know that the rails never steer you wrong. Stick to them, and they always bring you right to where you're meant to be. Wants to know if you've ever regretted taking one track in life instead of another. If you could go back, would you switch tracks or keep chugging along the one you're on? Likes your sureness, the way you keep at it like a chug-chug with no way to reverse. Seems like the world came out of its rut and is chugging toward higher ground again. Can't thank you enough for hitting the brakes and working to turn the world chug around. But let's not get derailed. Says he's surprised to see anyone this far out, but sometimes the wrong train does take you to the right station. As you can see, he didn't plan to make a stop here, but now that he had to, he's really happy to see you. He says his name is Choo-Choo. He's been off track since the world started dying, but he's trained his mind to stay positive regardless of the situation. Says sometimes life runs off the rails, but it's always better when they're good and greased. He's convinced the tracks are like the paths our lives take, and you must deal with the outcome, even if you didn't lay them yourself. This time, though, he was sidetracked and needs a new wing nut to get back on track. Wing nuts are easy to find, as they're fitted on any in-front chugger-chugger out there. The challenge is taking them off, so he's happy you're here to do it for him. Says he knew you would, like he knows the way the rails run. This mount has quite a bounce to it. The wing nut chug tunnel. It goes on forever. The underworld is like a whole new frontier. Just a few moves left. Make them count. Just a few moves left. Make them count. Should have... Choo-Choo says he knew you'd come through. If someone makes a stop at your station, it's for a good reason. But he understands no one gets their tracks greased for free. He'd be happy to part with his spare grease sprinkler, as he believes it's a great fit for any of your business that needs to be unstuck. He keeps it safe in a box on the handcart, in case of emergency. It's on the cart. He wants to keep it close by. In general, you won't have much time to act in case of an emergency. Choo-Choo says you should help yourself to the grease sprinkler. It's a versatile tool from the bygone, a last of its kind, so don't let it go to waste. He's convinced you'll put it to good use, as there are lots of stuckies out there that need greasing to open. Seems glad you think so. You're on the right rail. Choo-Choo says he can't wait to get out of this. Says you'll see each other later. You shouldn't worry about smashing up the box. Choo-Choo has no use for it now. Choo-Choo says he feels strongly about helping his next, just like you did for him. He's convinced there was a bigger reason you met. Sometimes the wrong train will take you to the right place. He believes you've got what it takes to make a difference. He's witnessed it himself. Says fate is like the rails. They lead in certain ways, and you can only fight that for so long if you want to get anywhere. Choo-Choo's thrilled you found the Ark. Just imagine how much faster than a chug that thing must be. And no rails needed. Needs no rails, no roads, nothing but air. The world's on the mend, so no need to leave it. But just think of all the places the Ark could take you. Says he's happy to see the Ark in your hands. Knows you'll go great places with it and do some good.
Why?
Wonders who you might call aboard the Ark with you.
So, what we have here is an opportunity to help your next. There's a seat open on the Ark should you want to offer it as a gesture of appreciation.
Why? You don't need...
If you want to go quickly,
But you know you can't...
After spending a life on the rails, he's eager to ride the skies with you. Just let him pack his rollerboard, and he'll roll aboard. Choo Choo says he's ready to pack up and leave. Understands you have other... Wiz says that there's no plan to confront the Merkpuff until the octopod is properly armed. He's happy to tell you that the cannon he's been working on now just needs ammunition. He says his old friend Boom makes all things that go bang. There's a rumor that some of Boom's pyro sticks shot off and are out there roaming free. You should keep an eye on the horizon for pyros. If you're fast, you have a shot at catching some of them before they go off. He's a peculiar little fellow that's been fiddling with splodies since he was a kidling. It runs in his blood. Their family recipes pack a punch. The light of day shows how bad the world has become. That's a bang plant, where toxanol used to make all sorts of splody things before it blew up in their faces. Slash. That looks like an unbanged pyro stick on the loose. Better catch it before it goes off. The dark's good for sneaking up. The pyrosticks will cause a bang, but targeting is on you. At least now you have a chance to hurt the merc puff where it counts. You should aim for the head. That's the merc puff's weak spot. Thinking doesn't seem to be his strong point. Wiz has been working on another cannon, but instead of pyrosticks, it squirts guppos. Scaly distractions for anyone with an appetite disorder, and irresistible for the merc puff in particular. Seems the best way to find guppos is go talk to Gil. He has a natural sonar and knows where the guppos sub the surf. This means you'll have to go visit Gil at Burblebottom. He used to run a pet shop stocked with guppos, but since they've become more difficult to find, he's diverted his attention to make them grow in numbers instead of giving them away. Let's see. This is Burblebottom, residence of... Happy to finally get to meet you. He claims to have been born swimming, but he must flap-flop clear of it during these dark days. It must have been upstream only to get to this point in your histo-future. But which way are you going now? With the flow or against? It's crazy hard to flipper against the surf, but you can't save the world if you let it sweep you away. Either way, it's a shame the surf has gotten so nasty. Thinks life is like trying to ride a wave. You need to pick the right one, but you don't really know which one that is until... Wonders who would want to. The right wave takes you where you want to go. Can't imagine how wonderful it's going to be to surf on gooless goo. The world is going to live. Can't thank you enough for fighting against the goo. Happy you ride alongside the Myriad. They bring a real shine to everything they work with. Says they shine so bright, they glitter on the waves. But none of that's nearly as important as enjoying the day, right? He never drank from this pond because of the disgusting things done there. Even the fish stopped drinking here after the pollution made the surf mucked and the air blocked his gills. He figures the Tree of Life isn't drinking either. Or, well, that's not true. He said it... Claims the surf is poison now. Anything that drinks it becomes poison too, including the Tree of Life. His friend Wiz needs guppos for one reason or another, and Gil is ready to point you in the right direction. But here, you're only going to find dead ones. He's pretty sure Wiz wants them alive. Well, at least the ones that aren't already rotting. If you head in the right direction, you'll find a clean enough bit of surf to snag yourself some guppos. Then you can get them to Wiz for whatever he has in mind. Figures he's always been a friend to Wiz, and now he can be one to you too. Love to hear a mount's footbeat. This is Guppy Grotto. Just a few moves left. Make them count. Locked, but good. Definitely not open. Need a key? Just a few moves left. Make them count. Just a few moves left. Make them count. The leaves here never die. That seems to be enough guppos to provide the octopod with infinite ammunition. He's surprised the Merc-Puff's been able to hold its breath all this time. It's just another proof of the evolutionary change caused by Toxanol's contamination. Being undersurf has meant the Merc-Puff has been left alone to munch on the root down there undisturbed. This means the northwest route has suffered more damage than the others. He's sure there's enough time to confront the Merkpuff, but he worries if the world has enough years left to last his lifetime, even if you stop the World Eaters. That was the last of them. You've sealed the fate of the tribe and the tree. It's time for the end game. You have your destiny. Follow it all the way back to Out of Date. He never told anyone about what's next. but he's sure it involves you. Just continue to stay true to yourself and respect others whatever happens. You've become their pride, the guiding light of the tribe. It's time to return to the tree one last time. The dark can make you miss the day fierce. Out of Date says the signs of the end of the world are everywhere. It seems nature is preparing to take revenge. The day of reckoning is coming, and you are invited. He can feel you're approaching the end date. If you haven't decided whom of all like-minded, light-hearted beings you've met have earned a seat on the Ark yet, it's time to do that now. Then grasp your last chance to make sure Lupa Lupin stopped for good. The tree settled its score, but it left yours half done. He says you need to see Lupa Lupin eye to eye one last time. He's happy to help. Understands completely. This is all about you. Whether you succeed or fail, it's on you. The Sifu is seeking revenge too. He hasn't forgotten what Lupa Lupin did, but he also wants to stop him from attacking his tribe. That the world seems to survive doesn't mean he must. He hopes you agree, even if it goes against your light-hearted nature. There's no room for predators in the world the Myriad tribe is building.
What?
But he knows this is your fight. You should handle it. Lupa Lupin's own fear was his shackles, not the roots of the tree. It just changed him. You have a chance to stand back and let the tribe handle it. ready to step into the fray? Are the odds about to change in your favor? friend dies, something inside you dies. You can save the seafood by making yourself a target. You're Shockwaves spread when the world crumbles. This is not a prophecy, me telling you about the future. It's you shaping it. The more he does, the stronger he becomes. This is how it ends. The predator and the world itself suffering. But at least it's a sign they're both still alive.
So, what we have here is a clear matter of life and death, and only you can make a difference.
You continue to make bad decisions and mistakes. Oh, it never ends.
It's easy to make a good decision when there's only one option. The only mistake here is you.
My mistake is letting you speak. My conviction is that the world would be a better place without your voice.
Convincing yourself doesn't win the argument. In the end, we won't remember the words of our enemies, but the silences of our friends.
The weak can't forgive. Forgiveness is a strength. It's not all life and death. It's no better time than now to accept a helping hand. Do you wonder what turn life might have taken if you'd done things different? A left when you went right? A yes when you said no? You've walked the thin line between survival and disaster and haven't lost your balance yet. It's because of you the Tree of Life and the world has been given a second chance. You carried the light in a world full of dark and made a difference in a place that needed change. You allied with the Myriad tribe and acted on understanding of the greater good and a code of honor. However, light and dark does simply represent the polarities of life. One can't exist without the other. This isn't the end. Just being surrounded by nature as it heals itself will rejuvenate us. Nature will teach us how to survive. So, trust your conscience to show you the way, and everything else will follow. But you're not alone. Those that shared your perspective and gained your trust will accompany you on your journey. Is there a world out there that's better suited for those imbalanced in their light nature than this one? Whether or not, we'll leave your story on record, so those who come after will know you followed your light nature and saved the world. So, when all is said and done, it turned out to be an unusual ending after all. What could be better than ending the story the right way? Ending it your way, a beginning of something new.